Welcome to our program, Prairie Adventures, produced by our interpretive program and Shaw TV Medicine Hat. I'm Corlene Gardner, one of the interpreters that works here in beautiful Police Point Park. Police Point is located, in case you don't know, right within the city of Medicine Hat, along the South Saskatchewan River. We've been bringing you stories of the people and the animals of southeastern Alberta throughout the whole year. In our winter programs, we've been talking about how to dress for winter, what the animals are doing, and a few other things thrown in. Winter is a great time for watching wildlife. And hey, we live in Alberta. Winter's a fact of life, so we might as well enjoy it. The animals are still around and they're very active. And we actually have some advantages because in the winter, there's no leaves. We can see farther into the bushes and see what they're doing. And of course, fresh snow means that every action leaves a trail behind. Now, Valerie is out following some of those trails to see what the animals are really doing in winter. So let's go find Valerie.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Corlene. Tracks, trails, and clues. Yes, we're going to talk about wild animals and wild animals in your neighborhood. You know there are all kinds of wild animals, and they are living here in the park, and they could be around the building, and they could be even in your own yard, your own neighborhood. But now, how do we discover what they are? Well, of course, the first thing people think of is the track, an animal paw print, which is one way, but there's other clever ways of investigating. You can look for other signs. Signs like, well, instead of one track, maybe you see several. So you see there's a trail running through some area, and then you get off to one side, you see one track. But then there might be some other clues. Maybe there's a piece of fur, or maybe you'll find some scat, or maybe you'll find, a feather, maybe a feather like this one. It's a beautiful big feather, and you'll take it home and discover what kind of an bird it was, and then maybe another feather like this one. And then, of course, you can see that they're different, and they come from different birds. But now, why would two birds be in the same place? These are all questions that come up. Of course, after a while, you learn to discover this one is actually the left wing of a great horned owl, one of the wing feathers. Now, well, this one is the tail feather of a pheasant. And then if you're really lucky, in the spring, you can find feathers like this. They're really little downy feathers that the mother birds will actually pluck out of their chest to get make a nice little nest for their young eggs to be hatched out. But now, when I say the spring, yes, tracking can be all year round. Right now, with snow, it's a perfect medium for finding tracks and trails. But also in the other seasons, wet sand, of course, mud, and sometimes even dimples and leaves. If you get to looking for pieces of evidence, you will find them there. Now, that's just a few things. You might come across a trail, and you'll find something like this. Well, most people know this is an antler. Now, if they look closer in that area, they might even find a scraping or a rubbing, where the male deer will actually rub against a branch, scratch their antlers against that. Next makes a big scar on there, and if this is laying at the bottom, we know that's the territory that this one deer has. So then by looking at the tracks, looking at different sizes, different antlers, you'll finally discover this is a white-tailed deer. And it's a shed, because you can see it's a button on the back. So this one was actually naturally shed. And then, of course, other places to look, well, rivers and streams. Then you might find something like this at the base of a tree. Now, that's a clue. Some people would not really look at that and know what it is. But if you look, there'll be a whole bunch of them there, and then you discover a branch like this. And you see all these little nibble marks. Well, that's on the small branch. But on the big bark of the tree, this is one big chew, one big chomp that the beaver did. So we know the beaver was there and being very active. So once you find those clues, you look around, look for tracks, and maybe even look closer, carefully, to see if there's any kind of sign of beavers maybe in the water somewhere. And then, of course, we have other things you'd find. If you're looking out right now, of course, in winter, you can find things more easier because there's no leaves. You may find basically a nest, or if you're lucky, the home of a woodpecker. Now, this, of course, a lot of people don't use these year-round, but the woodpeckers, especially the downies, will sometimes gather together in one nest to keep themselves warm. They start by huddling together. And now, for all this tracking, I would like you to have a little kit. And the most important thing is a book, a little journal book, so that you can actually write the date, time, and maybe draw pictures of what you saw if you have tracks. And another thing to have, because of those tracks, is actually a book on tracks. So right there in the field, you can get the book out and you can look at the tracks and figure out what kind they could be. And on the back of this, there's a little bit of a measuring device that you can put beside the track, and you can either take a picture of it or try and draw it. So you have no idea how big it is. A magnifying glass is quite handy because sometimes you want to look deeper into the track when sometimes it might be obscured by some snow or some mud. And of course here we also have actually a checklist of what kind of birds will be in this area at this time. A checklist is very handy because they will tell you that, no, there shouldn't be any of these kind of birds here this time of year. So we can cross that off our list. And of course, if you're walking out there in the forest carefully, quietly, and you might start following some tracks, some different signs, you might even see the animal. In that case, a pair of binoculars is sure handy. So then you can really look at them very carefully. And of course, don't forget your pencil for your book. But if you want to bump it up a notch, just pretty much any smartphone can take a picture, use your measuring device, put it beside the track or the clue you found. So you can take a picture of it. You can also use it as your logbook. And there's actually several apps on actual tracking of birds and animals in North America. So that makes it much easier. But you have to get outside. You got to get outside every day and check out the areas where you're seeing animal activity and learning about these things. So my one big tip is use your senses, all your senses. Of course, you're going to look with your eyes, you're going to see things, and you're also going to be able to, sometimes you can smell things, smell like there might be a drift of a skunk smell in the air, and then you listen. Of course, you might hear some bird calls, you might hear the rustling of maybe a bush bunny sort of hiding low in the bushes, or maybe up birds in the tree. But the idea is you have to get out there, look, learn, listen. Now, if you have any questions about tracking and looking for clues, I want you to call us here at the Nature Line, 403-529-6225. So I hope that you come down and visit us, and we will see you again. Thank you. Back to you, Corleen.
Thanks, Valerie. Once you start looking at all the clues, it's amazing how much action there actually is going on all around us. If you're now all enthused about getting out in the wintertime and tracking some of those animals and learning more about them, you might want to try our skis and our snowshoes. And Lisa has some information about how you go about coming down, renting the skis and snowshoes, and getting out and enjoying this beautiful winter wonderland.
Thanks. I don't want the winter weather to make anyone stay huddled up inside or go into any kind of premature hibernation. I just want to remind everybody that the Nature Center and Police Point Park are open year-round. So come on down, there's so much to do in the park. As you can see, we've got cross-country skis, and we have them for every member of the family, for the big and the small. And we have the boots and accessories and everything that you could possibly need to go skiing. We have a great trail. Takes anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on your skill level. And it's just a really great trail. It's flat, so if you're a beginner skier, this is the perfect place to come and give it a shot. Try some cross-country skiing. We've even got the poles and everything that you could possibly need. Now, if skiing's not your thing, but you still want to get out in the snow, try snowshoeing. As long as you are over 20 pounds, I have snowshoes for you down at the Nature Center. Again, they go in every size for every member of the family. And with these, you don't need any special gear other than the snowshoes. Just put on your snow boots and head on down. Now, if skiing and snowshoeing aren't really your thing, maybe you want something a little more high tech, you can try geocaching. We've got the GPS units. You can rent them here at the Nature Center. We've got quite a few caches out in the park that we don't publish online, but if you come in and you want to use one of our GPS units, we'll give you a list. We know those caches are out there. We check them regularly, so it's a lot of fun. And there's also great apps and things like that. You can try geocaching all around the park. There's really good geocaching all through the park. Other things you can do, especially if you have the really little ones, is stop in the Nature Center and just talk to whoever's working, and they can give you all kinds of really fun activities. We've got nature bingo. There's a really fun winter scavenger hunt that you can try, an ABC hike where you can just walk through the park and find all kinds of really interesting plants or trees or animals, signs of animals, all kinds of stuff. And in fact, my favorite thing to do when I'm walking in the park, especially in the winter, either right after a snowfall or right as the snow melts, is to go tracking. It's amazing how many animal tracks that you can find when you're walking through the park as long as you just start looking. So head on down, make sure to dress in layers. You don't want to get too cold or too hot, and go for a nice walk in the park. Try some skiing, try some snowshoeing, try some geocaching, or stop in and see get a list of any of the really fun activities that we have to do to keep you outside all winter long. Thanks.
Thanks, Lisa. We do have a lot of equipment available here in all sizes. So if there's snow to play in, come on down. You can use it here, or you can take it away for a day or two and find some snow somewhere else. Now, the Chinooks steal our snow, and we don't always get a lot of opportunities to get out and practice. So there's a lot of people who aren't very confident on cross-country skis. Well, Marty has a special guest who's just waiting to give us a little bit of an introductory lesson. Take it away, Marty.
We're out here on a little bit of a coolish, wintry day in Medicine Hat. And I know all of you out there, it's important to go out and be active during the winter. There's lots of different things that you could try, but maybe you are interested in possibly giving cross-country skiing a try. You're a little bit nervous, perhaps a bit intimidated about it. Well, you're in luck, because we have local experienced skier with us today, Bob Townsend. He's also a Grasslands Naturalist member, and he's going to give us a few pointers to, especially to beginners, to encourage them to get out there and give it a try. Hey Bob, how are you doing today?
Doing fine, Marty, thanks.
Well, thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
And so cross-country skiing is a great activity. And so what is it about it that you find enjoyable? Why do you like to do it?
Well, Marty, you know what? It's one sport I can put a pack on my back in the winter and go for miles or kilometers, take a lunch with me, go with friends, stop, have a lunch, and have a great time outdoors.
So it's really getting out there, getting connected with nature, and getting into some places where you might not normally be able to go?
Exactly.
So how long have you actually been skiing?
Well, cross-country skiing, we looked it up today, and I bought my first pair of cross-country skis 48 years ago.
So you've been doing it a little while.
A little bit, yeah.
So what are a few places that you've been to that are fairly exceptional for cross-country skiing that you like to share with everyone?
Oh yeah, well, our group and my wife and I have flown into Mount Assiniboine and stayed there a few days. We've skied up into Skokie over 2 passes. And I guess the one that sticks in my mind is when we skied. It was a 14-hour ski from field up into Stanley Mitchell Hut at -30, and pulling toboggans with 50 pounds on it. And we left at about 7 in the morning, didn't get in till 9:30 at night.
Yeah, you really got to know what you're doing when you're doing that stuff. Well, and that's for people that have experience, but not for beginners, but we're talking to beginners now, so we want to encourage them to get out and give it a try. What would you have to tell them about getting out there?
Well, get out and go. But if you really want to do some cross-country skiing, you can rent cross-country skis to find out if you like it. You rent them here, I believe.
Yeah, we do it here at Police Point.
And if I were to say anything, I'd say you'd probably be looking at a special kind of ski called I call it a Waxa ski, which is a fishtail, which I have in this hand.
Okay.
And then you don't have to mess with waxes and things like that. If you like it and if you get interested in it, then you should go to somebody that sells them in a store
knows
that
what they're
knows
doing
what they're doing
yeah.
it, and they'll outfit you, because there's lots of things that go into a ski that they know about, but you may not know about.
Okay, so you already mentioned about the waxless or the scaled skis, and what is the other kind of ski that we have over here?
This is a backcountry touring ski, and this is a wax ski. So we use waxes on this, and we try to hit the right waxes for the temperature. If we don't, we have to re-wax.
Yeah, the waxes are designed for different temperatures and different types of snow.
Exactly, and why we go on this most often is we get a little bit better glide on this, and we like messing around with the waxes.
Nice. And then what kind of skiing are you going to be talking to everyone about today?
We're talking about classical skiing. There's many kinds of cross-country skiing. These are skis for classical skiing and for backcountry light touring.
It's kind of the cross-country skiing most people are familiar with.
Exactly.
Bob, just give everyone an idea here about how you want your feet positioned, what you want to do with your arms, and how you want to get started, and then we'll do a little demonstration.
Okay, so Marty, you're a little better than a beginner, but what you want to do is you're going to, on the ski that you push off, you're going to push off that ski, and the other ski is going forward, so you're getting what we call a stride. If you're starting, just walk.
Okay,
yeah.
So it's somewhat similar to walking?
Yeah, and then as you get better at it, then you're going to be pushing off with that foot and gliding with your other foot, taking the weight off I take the weight off the ski once it's pushed.
Okay, and then what are we doing with our arms? Are we doing a lot of pushing with our arms, or is it mostly for balance? And how do you want them to coordinate with the ski?
Well, when you're starting out, I'd use them pretty well for balance.
Okay.
Once you're getting into it, then you're using a little bit of weight, but you're actually using the arm motion to move you along.
Okay.
And reaching out as farther as you can. But we'll wait till you get a little more experience before you worry about that.
All right, well, okay, and then how do we get started here?
Okay, well, here, I'll give you an easy way to start. Just take your poles like this.
Okay.
Do what we call a double pole to start off with. You know what? You're doing just fine. You're more than a beginner. And so what I want you to do is just go out and just walk. And every time you feel like you're going to get a little speed, just let your skis take you.
Okay.
Okay, away you go. Good one, good. You're doing just fine. Okay, push, push.
All right, well, that was a lot of fun, Bob. Thanks for being here today. And yeah, everyone, come on down, give it a try. It's not that challenging. You just got to get the skis on and get the experience going.
Thanks, Marty and Bob. That simple, straightforward ski lesson should give you enough confidence to come on down to Police Point and give it a try. Police Point's particularly well suited too, because it's so nice and level that you don't have to worry about steep hills and climbing hills or going down too fast or anything. It's a great place to learn, and with the basic instruction that Marty and Bob went through, you're ready to go. Come on down and ask some more questions if you have them. Get out and try it. Another way to really enjoy winter is to snowshoe. And a lot of people think it's even easier than skiing. The point behind snowshoes is to make your feet big. If you can spread your weight over top of the snow, you don't sink in. And sinking into snow up to your knees is really tiring. if you can stay closer to the top, walking across the top of the snowdrifts, it's a lot more fun, a lot easier. So, basic concept, big feet, walk on top of the snow. Snowshoes come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes. They were used traditionally to travel, to get out on trap lines, to just get around in the wintertime. The kind and shape of snowshoes depended on where you lived. If you lived where there was great fluffy snow, deep snow banks, you needed a bigger snowshoe. You needed one that might have been longer and slender, kind of like this one of these nice picturesque old ones. Other places where the snow was more packed, not so fluffy, you could get around with ones called bear paw, which were basically kind of like tennis rackets in shape. The type of snow designed the type of snowshoes. Now, around here, we're using modern snowshoes. They don't look nearly as attractive as these old guys, but they really, really fit our conditions. They're metal with a rubber or leather deck on them rather than rawhide. And we have to deal with Chinooks. And of course, when the Chinooks come along, the snow gets sloppy and slushy and wet, and you don't want the wood and the rawhide getting wet. So these ones are much better for the slushy conditions. They also have on the back this grip. That metal grip underneath is really great for the crusty conditions. After our Chinooks gets cold again, everything gets icy and crusty. And having a bit of grip on the back of the snowshoe really gives you an advantage, especially for hill climbing. So these grips are important. Now, you don't want to walk on nice floors with them, but up the crusty snowbank, they are just lovely. When you put them on, you make sure that your toe can move so that when you're going up a hill, those those metal things will dig into the snow. So, as I say, our modern snowshoes don't look as pretty, but they work really well and work really well for our conditions. Again, we have different sizes and different styles for different uses. Little people can get out and play, can even have play tag or soccer on snow. That really gets the blood circulating and gets people out there having fun. But we've got all sizes and shapes for all situations. So come on down, give it a try. Winter is a wonderful time. Much too nice to hide inside. After all, what's the standard line? Alberta has 6 months of winter and 6 months of poor sledding. Let's get out and enjoy our winter. However you like to enjoy the winter, whether it's snowshoeing or skiing or tracking the animals, I hope that you'll come on down to Police Point and tell us about it, ask questions. If you can't actually make it down here, you can always phone us on the nature line, 403-529-6225, and check our Facebook and our Twitter too. When we get snow, we want to play in it, so we might be scheduling a few extra special events. There's snow this weekend, then come on down. If it melts, well, then we can't go skiing, but maybe there's something else happening. So give us a call and find out, or better yet, come on down and enjoy winter in Police Point, and we'll see you down here.